What's going on, guys? Beller here, back with another video. We're not on the pitch today. Instead, we are in a Google Sheets. That is because we are going to be doing some predictions for the upcoming London Major that's starting tomorrow, which is so crazy that it's already upon us. It seems like we've had a little bit of a break here, so pumped to see some high-level Rocket League at the international stage. Before we do anything, I wanted to shout out Cody VRL. You can find him on Twitter at Cody VRL. I'll put his information in the description. This spreadsheet would not be possible without him. He's the one who's providing it. He kind of took the torch from Adam Core, who was doing this beforehand. Such an asset that this is something that we get provided to us because I could not do this myself. So appreciative of that. One more caveat before we dive in here. I think the point of this is less about trying to predict the future because that's impossible. We're definitely going to have at least a couple upsets. Like this thing isn't going to go completely chalk. So it's less about trying to predict all of these series and more about kind of getting a feel for some of the journeys that these teams could take along the way to get here. But let's just go ahead and dive right in. I think we can probably knock some of these out pretty quickly here, and I'm going to try and strike the balance between not just going full chalk, but also not being ridiculous for ridiculous's sake. I want to try and do something that feels realistic here. So I'll try and keep in mind some things outside of just these series within a vacuum, like, momentum and things like that. So as we say this, let's go BDS 3. I'm going to give Mobula a game. This is BDS, as we all know, Drawley, Monkey Moon, Exotic, and then this Mobula team who's representing Sub-Saharan Africa hails from Spain, and it's VK Salen, Rubix, and Lioro. So definitely not a team that I am going to have making it into the playoffs, but still a pretty dangerous team when we compare them to what we're used to seeing from SSA, which for a really long time has just been limitless. Let's go ahead and give Gladiators a game as well. I think we're getting to the point where a lot of these aren't just pure sweeps anymore. I mean, this Gladiators team is Virtuoso and Maxu, who have been in APAC for quite a while on top teams. And then they brought in Tho, who is from the SA roster. Him and Mike Boy have been teamed up forever. So that's a legit team with some talent. So G2 are going to win that pretty easily. Giving them a game, honestly, might be giving them a little too much credit there just because of how good G2 is. But hey, let's keep it rolling. This Chiefs team, I'm just not impressed by. Hunter, Finn, and Kaka are the ones who make up that team. Just really young and unproven. I know that Finn is a little bit older. I think he's 21, and then Hunter and Kaka, we've seen them previously. I think they were with Ground Zero and Super Locky, if I remember correctly. But not doing it for me. Kaka does a ton of scoring for this team, and I felt like he was one of the weakest contenders that we had. I think that was one of the majors last season. I can't remember which. Maybe it was spring, but was not super impressed going up against a Vitality team that could potentially win this whole thing. So maybe our only sweep here. Let's see. Gentleman's Twisted Minds is so tough. I think this is going to be on the alternate stream, which I'll probably check out because I'm really interested by, the team who won the last event altogether, and going up against the Twisted Mind teams, just two teams that I don't really know what to make of them. Gentlemates, of course, Juicy, Seiko, and Itachi. And then that Twisted Minds is the Mina 2 seed. That's Ahmad, who's been on Falcons in Rule 1 previously and now has made his way over to this roster alongside SMW and Mawson. Mawson, who was playing with the Twins previously of Rawas and Kalirs. So that's a team with a lot of talent, and they've been to this stage. Mawson and Ahmad have both made deep runs. And then I can't remember the Mina team that SMW was on last season for the World Championship. But they were good, but didn't really blow anybody away. But this Gentlemates team has been really up and down. So I'm going to say 3-2. I think this is going to be a pretty close series. And how much is already 5 minutes in? We'll try and not make this like a 30-minute video, but I do want to give all these teams credit because shout out to them for being able to make it all the way to this stage. Furia and OG, a real different stylistic approach. Furia have been finding a lot of success bringing two up and then kind of having Drufinho sag a little bit, while OG are really trying to move the ball upfield with intention and connectivity, finding each other in passing lanes, and they really are able to strike in transition. So what I would be curious about in this series, if OG can control the boost. They have really struggled against up-tempo teams like G2, who are their own thing, and Gen G, just because Gen G really like to push the pace, and you can kind of overwhelm OG in that way. Fury is definitely the more mechanically gifted team, but I think OG can stick around in this series and make it interesting if they can try and connect on some backside demos, and then really try and kill Furia in transition. You don't want these to turn into shootouts because Furia put up a ton of goals on people. I'm going to go ahead and say 3-1. Furia came out and went 3-0 in the Copenhagen Major. They 3-0'd Swiss and then got wiped out by Vitality in the quarterfinals. And I think OG went to round 5. But I think Furia are going to try and prove a point here. And OG, unfortunately, are the ones standing in their way. Oxygen and Power. Oxygen are one of those teams that they really go deep in Swiss, more often than you would think. I think they've been a round 5 team a couple of times over this split, and they really can run away with series or they can kind of play down to their competition. They're definitely not the most consistent team we have here. We saw First Touch had Power on recently, in a show match against Williams Resolve, who is kind of one of those like 5 to 8 range teams for Europe. And it was a really close series, that Williams Resolve ended up winning in 5. So I definitely am going to take Oxygen over them. It's just a matter of how many. I'll give them a game and not 1x, just one game. And that Power team, for those of you who may not know, it's Fever, who at one time was like the best player, from OCE. He might still be. I'm a big fan of Super Locky, who is unfortunately not here, and then Banana Head, who previously played with Super Locky and Scrub on that KC Pioneers team, but Fever, Banana Head, and then Torsos, who has been holding it down for OCE for an incredibly long time. All the way back to when this Chiefs team, funny enough, this org, in season 4, I think it was, ended up making like a quarterfinals. But that was back when like CJ was still on the team. So Torsos has been around for a really long time, repping the Dominus, which we love to see. This one, I caught a little bit of Shiftcast, did their version of this, and they actually had Space Station over Falcons. I don't know about that. Let's check in on this points ranking sheet real quick here. Something that I am curious about is Space Station. They get a quarterfinal, they get a semi, or excuse me, they get a semifinal, a quarterfinal, and then a quarterfinal here. I'm saying this all wrong. Semi, grand final loss, quarterfinal. You nailed it. So they're just not. I'm not super impressed by this team, to be honest with you. Big fan of Chicago. LJ's awesome. Hawks has been great in spots, but this team scares me defensively, especially their comms in the box. And I was watching some Falcons recently, and like Rawas might be the second best player in the world. Like he's so good. So I'm actually gonna go 3-1 on this series here, and I don't think I have a single upset. So what are you gonna do? Excited to be proven wrong here. Gen G are going the wrong way at the wrong time, and this team's secret team is really spicy. they definitely think that they can beat this Gen G roster. And there is a lot of pressure on this Gen G team to win here. They brought in First Killer and dropped Nolly because they knew that it was a clear talent upgrade and they want to contend at events like this. So there's a lot of pressure here on Gen G, who are also, much like Oxygen, a top team who goes into round 5 much more commonly than you think. Let's just go ahead and go 2-3, get the jitters out. We don't want to go chalk across the board. That's a really tightly contested series, and I'm excited to see. Let's actually start down here. Gen G, they're going to get the re-up here on Chiefs. We'll go 3-1 on that. Twisted Minds, I'm going to take in a tight one against Mobula. I really have no idea what this team is going to look like at this international event. I'm excited to see it. Space Station and Gladiators, I think that one could be pretty close as well. And then Power OG could be an upset for Power, but I'm actually going to go 3-1 here for OG. This team is just, I'm so impressed by them. On paper, they're older. They're all probably past their primes, Nolly, Com, and JKnaps. But JKnaps is still an incredible striker, and Com always finds a way to step it up at these events. And Nolly, as that X factor, did not have a good event in Copenhagen at all. I think he would probably admit that himself. Looking to see a bounce back here. And after taking a tight series here against OG, this power pace is going to be something that they can definitely manage. So I'm going to take OG there. Let's pop up top. I actually think if this one really starts going, we're at least going to have one game for Furia, right? Because I think Oxygen trying to find their footing here after going from power is at least one game for Furia, probably from the jump. Then we probably equalize. I think this one probably goes 5, to be honest with you. And I'm just going to go gut feel here. I really like this Furia team. The results haven't been what you would want. They kind of trended backwards where they won the first major of this split 2, and then they haven't been able to win another one since. And that Oxygen team is better than I give them credit for. I just leaves room to be desired. This one's going to be a boost battle for sure, and kind of some posturing amongst the top guys. Whether that be Yan for Furia, or maybe it's a loss series, or Oski and Joyo on the other side there for Oxygen. Man, we're getting blessed if these are some of the games that we have up top here. I'm going to take Falcons over G2. Really impressed by that team. And G2 kind of swung their way through the Swiss and Copenhagen. These are two teams that are the same. They might have honestly played each other. Let's see. Did they play each other previously at Major 1? It feels like it rings a bell, but maybe I'm just making that up. Did not play in Swiss, and did not run into each other here either. So this is the first time that we get to see this. That is must-watch TV right there, G2 and Falcons. But I'll take Falcons in a close one. I think BDS honestly could sweep this, but I'll give Gentlemates 1 just for being the previous champs. And then I think this is a great matchup for Vitality. I honestly might go sweep here. This secret team, KV1, Brad, and Mata. Brad previously at the World Championship was on Crew Esports with Drafinio and Drops, and I was a huge fan of Brad. Great passer, really a vocal leader, somebody that you want in situations like this. Mata previously was on Ninjas in Pajamas with Astramic, and who was the third there? It was Bims. And that roster left something to be desired, but Mata still really early in his career. KV1, I made a video on him a couple weeks ago, really is elevating himself as an offensive force here for this secret team. They need it. He's always been great defensively, but especially this second split, the numbers have really bumped up for him scoring-wise. But Vitality, I think, are just too much, and I think they are kind of walking their way to a pretty great 2-0 rounds here so far. Who are we eliminating? I think this Gladiators team is probably just better. I'm going to go 3-1 there. And then Mobula, thanks for showing up. But we have power here as well. And that should produce our bottom teams here in just a second. Let's keep going through. OG and Secret, I don't know how to call that one. Let's go up top. Man, this would be such a great matchup. Vitality and Falcons, have they played previously? Falcons, by the way, have won all of the grand finals for their 3-0 in MENA this split. So they are not playing games. They have been killing everybody. Although they have been playing things a little tighter, which I think is good for them once you get to this stage. If you kind of show up and you haven't had any challenges up until this point, it might be a little bit of like a shell shock for you to run up against some tightly contested series here. But MENA have the advantage of queuing into European servers. So even for 2v2s, they're always playing against these European players, which I think is a big advantage for them. I am going to go Vitality. I just really think that this is going to be a great event for them. I think Zen is poised here to show back up. I think it was Pyroblock on Twitter put up these graphs yesterday showing kind of on like an XY scale how good offenses and defenses are. And Vitality were just off the charts. Great offense, great defense. They have Zen, which is huge, of course. Alpha 54 is a great off-ball striker, and Radosin is the ultimate utility player. So excited to see them here. BDS and Furia. BDS have really ran Europe. They won back-to-back majors here in 5 and 6 in the open qualifiers to get here, so coming in with a lot of momentum. This Furia team is great too. I think I'm going to go BDS though, 3-2 in a close one. And hopefully these Swiss results start populating. Maybe I need to like make it through the round before it saves. I don't know. I have my camera so small here in the corner I can see it on my other monitor. Need to make sure I keep my face in here. We typically don't do the face cam, but it's kind of just like a weird empty space in a video like this without one, so I figured I'd add it. G2 have absolutely owned Space Station in the region, so I don't think anything would change there. This would be great television. Gentlemates and Gen G. Is that a rematch? I feel like those two teams must have played, right? Yeah, they went 7 in the quarters, and it was super close, but that ended up being a very hot Gentlemates team. Let's actually think about the route here. So Gen G are upset that they lose to a Team Secret, get revenge on Chiefs. This is actually the next day, so there's not a ton of carryover here. And then so far, Gentlemates beat Twisted Minds in a close one and then lost to BDS. My stomach is just telling me let's go Gen G here. Maybe it's the homer in me voting for the North American team. But, you know, Jack is a great captain, and Chronic has continued to improve, and First Killer has been right there as well. You know, there's something that I want to show you guys, actually. Is this getting off the rails? Maybe. I don't know. But let me show you. We're already here, so we can't back out. This Twitter account, I plugged it the other day, is putting out awesome stuff. And I want to show you real quick. This really cool, there's like stats in here that I've never seen before. It's this right here. You ready for this? So right here down the middle, it's assists from 2. Pretty crazy to me that Chronic and First Killer are actually the ones that are connecting for the most goals. I just assumed that it would be like Jack setting up his teammates, which he's really not connecting with Chronic that much, which I was surprised by. But just the fact that it's Chronic and First Killer kind of took me by surprise. But let's get back on track here as we're 20 minutes into the video and we're not even through the 3rd round. So let's pick up the pace here, why don't we? Oxygen are probably the most momentum-based team that we have here. They just lost to Furia. I could totally see them losing this one too. This Twisted Minds team is not playing around. They are fine with pace. That's all that MENA is. So Oxygen are not going to surprise them there. Maybe a big SMW game. But you know what? I'm just going to go 3-2 for Oxygen just because that team is really good. And then this is kind of a war of attrition. Two teams who are okay with low scoring matches. This one's probably going to be just a total brick fight. I'll go 3-2 for Team Secret. And yes, it does update once I do that. All right. Secret are bummed that they run into Furia because that's the big brother matchup. They'll totally kill him there. Definitely going to take Falcons over Gen G, and then I will take the 3-1 here for G2. Unfortunately, Power are not going to make it here. I will take OG over Gladiators, and you know what? I was about to say, is this a rematch? But that's impossible. You know what? Let's think this one through. So, Space Station just lost to G2, and Gen G just beat Gentlemates. I think the best player in this series is probably. I mean, my stomach says LJ, but do I really feel that way? I mean, Seiko is incredible. Um, I think the worst player in this series is a different way to look at it, and I think if LJ is the best, I think the two worst are probably Hoxer and Chicago. So I'm gonna go ahead and say 3-1 here. Ooh, got a little switcheroo based on the matchup. What's the season series between Gen G and OG? Has that been tightly contested? Let's look here. Let's see what that season series is because that's interesting. Let's go played matches, and then let's filter by team. Let's find OG. And this is in alphabetized or date order for us. So OG actually beat them recently, 3-1, 3-2. So this is not as runaway as you would think. And OG actually have kind of had their number recently, which is interesting. OG just beat a Gladiators team. Gen G got blitzed by Falcons. Let's just go full chaos. Let's take OG taking it in here. And then Gentlemates and Oxygen is another interesting one. Have they played very much? I won't do this for all of them because it'll be the longest video we've ever seen. But if we look up Oxygen Esports here, let's look at their played matches and see how they've matched up against Gentlemates. I mean, they've run them over recently. So, wow. Pretty surprising that I'm going off the previous results that we have Gen G and Gentlemates both not making the playoffs here. So certainly not chalk, at least I hope so. Secret and Twisted Minds. I'm just gonna be a fanboy here and take Secret. I really like that team. And this is how our playoffs are setting up here. Where do we even begin? We probably start with the easy one. I think Vitality, the hardest part for Vitality, well, the hardest part. I think Vitality do better in 7-game series. Just the more bites at the apple they have, I think over time they can just find ways to win. I think they're great at adjusting. And Zen's quality can just kind of shine through over the course of a series. You can kind of allow for a game here or there where it's like, Radosin just isn't really there. And Secret are a team that don't really do a ton of scoring. I just think over the course of this series, they just will be overmatched. So I'm going to go 4-2. Man, Furia looked terrible in the quarterfinal from Copenhagen against Vitality, who we just talked about, who they beat in Swiss, mind you. Furia beat them 3-1 or 3-2 in Swiss. And then Vitality, I guess, took notes from that, came back, beat Furia 4-1 in the quarterfinals. Furia looked really shaky at the start from game one. Yan lets like a terrible goal go by him. It's just in overtime. It's Zen in transition, and he just kind of like doinks the ball. He doesn't really even put like a shot on net. I guess Yan is anticipating like a power shot, and the off speed throws him off. But I would presume there's jitters here, and I just don't think that Falcons are going to have the same jitters between these two regions. I think Sam is deeper and stronger, but Mina's top talent are just another level. So I'm actually going to go 4-2 for this one as well. BDS and OG. Um, the thing about BDS is they're either going to make the grand finals or they're going to lose in the quarterfinals, and it's not going to look good. Um, Monkey Moon is kind of the leader there. He can get kind of tilted sometimes. I think as he's progressed throughout his career, he's matured a little bit, but you still kind of see some of those same things. It's Luka Doncic esque, where like if it's going bad for him, you're going to know that it is visually with Monkey Moon. But with that being said, I just think in a 7 game series, this is one where Drawley could just look incredible, and I think they're really going to be able to push OG into a lot of uncomfortable positions and just find easy goals. There's sometimes with OG, Nolly is typically the culprit, but just like looking for back passes that end up not going well or just errant touches towards, it just floating into your own box. I think over the course of 7, OG will be able to, won't really be able to go there. I'm going to go 4-1. And then this is the brawl. G2 versus Oxygen. Oxygen really turn it up here once they get into this stage of the tournament. But I can't have all Europe, right? So we're gonna go 4-3, and that makes our top Vitality, Falcons, BDS, and G2. All right. Well, that's kind of like pretty boring top 4. But maybe that's the way it actually shakes out here. This is a grand finals matchup, and this is a grand finals matchup. Um, we gotta cite the tape here and see if these have played previously. Let's give this a little scroll here, and let's just go through this way. Why don't we? Come on. Major 1. Did these two teams play BDS G2? BDS beat G2 in Swiss. Did they run into each other again? G2 got revenge. How did this one go? I can't really remember this. Was that they go up 2, take a timeout, and then just hold them? And look how low scoring these are, right? I mean, G2 just kind of figured out the defense. They held them scoreless in 3 straight. That's crazy. What did this look like? And what are we at? Is this a 45-minute video? Under 30. That's fine. Is this going to be the most watched video that my channel ever has? No, but that's not why we're here. This is for good fun, guys. The majors tomorrow, we're excited, okay? Let's look at our totals. Man, Atomic 0-for-10. A ton of shots here from G2, just really peppering them. Exotic just could not get it going. Probably deferring to Monkey Moon. 3-for-26. So BDS is getting up a ton of shots, right? This is how they go anyways. They really like to crank it up and kind of get going. And look at how many demos they're taking here. So kind of it's speed versus power and precision. Both of these teams have been looking great. How did our Swiss go in my hypothetical? Isn't it like right here? Yeah. So BDS beat Mobula, Gentlemates, and Furia. G2 Gladiators lost to Falcons, Space Station, Oxygen. BDS hasn't seen any North America yet, which is interesting. And then got a little taste of the speed here. This is kind of the lesser version of what BDS is looking to do in Oxygen. We have G2 beating them. We're gonna go G2. God, G2 making the finals. Let's go 4-3, and then up here, I'm just gonna have to make like a snap judgment call. Otherwise, I'll stare at this for 15 minutes. Did they play in Major 1? They dodged each other here on different sides of the bracket, and they did play here. What did that matchup look like? I said I was going to make a quick decision, and then here we are really digging in. Vitality held pretty low, but Vitality went deep in Swiss. They ended up going really deep here against a Luminosity Gaming team who was not looking super hot. Killed OG though. Let's look at this guy. Shout out to Ball Chasing, TRK, Kaliers, Radosin in the closeout. Let's go players and let's look at some totals here real quick. What's the tail of the tape? Wow, Zen 1 for 23. I mean, that's just not going to happen again, you would hope. Not a very physical series outside of these are both Falcons trying to create some pressure here. Not a very assist heavy game. And by the looks of it, probably not a very high scoring matchup. No, it was not. Pretty well contested. You know what? We're just going to go Falcons. Although, again, this could totally be a grand finals. And then we just can't overthink this one. So I did this for practice last night. Practice. I didn't even know if I was going to do this, but I was just sitting in bed and I was like, let me, let's give it a go. And I had Vitality winning. I think I had Falcons going out in the semis in my other test, but this time we have Falcons. The first time that a non-North American Europe team ever wins one of these. Falcons made it all the way to the final goalpost in spring of last season when it was TRK, O'Khaled, and Ahmad. They made it all the way to the grand finals through uppers, and then Moist at the time, who was Rise Joyo Vatira, went on this crazy lower bracket run. They beat like 6 teams in a row, were just red hot. And since Falcons came from the uppers, they actually had the bracket reset. So they went 7 in the first series, and then they were just so deflated by not winning that first one. When we came back for the reset, I'm pretty sure they got swept. So TRK has been to this final stage before, and I guess in my hypothetical scenario, he finally lifts that trophy alongside the Twins here. And that's it. But, for what it's worth, Falcons G2, BDS, Vitality. Who are we forgetting? Gentlemates could definitely win it. Gen G could definitely win it, although Oxygen could win it, although Furia could win it. So that's what 8 teams right there that I think could hypothetically win it. If I had to kind of put these into tiers, I would say my top tier is 4 teams: Falcons, G2, BDS, Vitality. My next tier would probably be, I can't say Gentlemates. I'm just trying to give them like the benefit of the doubt coming from the previous one, like winning the last one. But I don't know. They've looked a little wonky, but hey, maybe it's one of those things where it's like, it's the playoffs. Like this is where we show up. Maybe it's like Miami Heat style where they have like a totally mid, regular season. And then they're like, here we are. Like this is where Heat culture. So maybe they show up. I would say Gentlemates, Gen G, Oxygen would be my next group, and then Furia is kind of in my dark horse slot. And I think those are all the teams that could probably like really win this thing. So that's it. Furia wins. I'm excited for this, guys. I cannot wait. I cannot wait for this to go down. Really looking forward to some International Rocket League, and this is what we all show up for. All the qualifiers are for events like this. This is going to be our last taste before we get going into the World Championship as well, which is where this all really matters. But honestly, I feel like the majors are like worth like one like history point, like for the record books, and then a world championship is like 1.5 because they're all majors. Worlds is just kind of the ultimate end one. So, what do you think of the bracket? Who am I way too high, way too low on? Would love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for tuning into this video, guys. I really appreciate everybody taking the time to check out the content. Um, we're really close to 1,000 subscribers. Not that the numbers are not driving this. I've really enjoyed replying to every single comment on all of the videos and seeing people have been returning for content over and over. That makes me feel good knowing that I am producing stuff and that my passion for this is something that you guys enjoy and appreciate. But yeah, thank you for checking out the video. See you guys in London here, and until next time, guys, take it easy.